I am Gini Dietrich. Welcome to our next Spin Sucks Fireside Chat. I have with me my friend and writer extraordinaire. Yeah, that's right. Ann Handley. Hello, Ann.
Hi, how are you today?
We may have probably had some pre-interview chat that we shouldn't have had because now we both can't be serious.
I know. It seems like we've been drinking, but we haven't.
Not yet. So I have to tell you, I told you this story in San Diego, but I'm going to relay it again because I want our viewers to hear the story. So in my front hallway, I have a round table and I have my grandfather's old typewriter. And next to it, I have books on writing. So I have Eat Leaves and Shoots. I have On Writing by Stephen King. I have Content Rules. I have Content Chemistry. And I have Everybody Writes. And my friend John Saul was over. And he's like talking about how he wants to write a book and, he doesn't really know anything about it. And so he's asking me questions and he goes, well, what book should I read? And I said, Everybody Writes. And I handed him your book. And he came back over and he gave it back to me. And he said, do you know her? And I said, I do. And he goes, oh my gosh, that was the best book I've ever read. I'm such a fan. You're going to have to tell her that I love her.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
There you go. You have a fan in Chicago.
That's so awesome. Does John watch the show?
I hope not, because he'll be really embarrassed that I told you that story.
Oh, hi, John. As a matter of fact, he's right here. John, come on out.
Come on over and say hi to Ann. I'd also like to thank you for the product placement behind you. That's very nice.
What product placement? Oh, wow. Look at that.
How did that end up there?
Spin Sucks.
Weird. Covering up your own books, I might add.
Also a fantastic book.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to invite friends over just so they'll say, oh my God, do you know Gini? Do you know Gini?
I hope you do that.
Yeah. No, thank you for that story.
Yeah, he's a big fan. And then, of course, he saw our pictures on Facebook and was just like, oh, you didn't make it up. Like, you really do know her.
Those are the cutest pictures ever.
I know they are pretty cute. Maybe I'll have to include one in the blog post.
Yeah,
pretty cute.
definitely.
We're pretty fun, I think.
Yeah.
So folks who follow you on Instagram and read your blog already know about your tiny house, which you are sitting in. And I'm very excited because I think you were way ahead of this trend, because now everybody's like, I need a tiny house, and it's all over which station is it? DIY network or something, I don't know.
Oh,
it's all over there. Oh yeah, it's all over the place. Everybody wants a tiny house, but you did it way before it was trendy.
You know what the funny thing is about trends? I always feel like personally that I'm behind trends.
Not on this.
I legit do. I always feel like, oh, everybody else already knows this. Like I remember when Cece and I wrote Content Rules so we were working on it in 2009. We thought to ourselves, oh, we're way late on this.
Isn't that funny?
It's so funny. So I'm I'm completely sincere when I say that I always think I'm behind on trends, and then it turns out that a lot of times I'm not. So
you're not. Well, definitely not on the tiny house or content for that matter.
Content, yeah, and probably not on the tiny house. So yes, this is my tiny house. It's
look at that.
Not much to look at. Let me just give you a little bit. I'll give you a tour from my laptop.
I love it.
So I'm giving you I'm giving you this is the manual 360.
I love it. Yep.
So that's look, product placement again.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's kind of dark though because of the window.
It's fancy.
So yeah, there we go. And there's another one, and there's my spring cleanup in the corner. Because I don't usually work out here in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So here's me again. And then this is the other side. Oh, look at that giant lamp. This is my 60s icon lamp. And the other book.
Fancy schmancy.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know how much you can see. So yeah, there's it. And then there's I can't turn it completely around. So I guess it's more like a 280.
280. 285. That's pretty good.
So there's French doors that open up into a little porch that my children call the wine porch. I don't know why they call it that.
I can't imagine why they would call it that.
People wine out there.
some form of wine.
Something like that. So yeah, there's a little porch, and then French doors leading out to a little porch, and then leads out to a screen that leads out to my backyard.
So then if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go back to the house.
Yes, get my steps in.
Get your steps in. Good girl. Yep.
Go back to the big house.
The big house.
Because that's where the facilities are. So I go back there, and also I'm a big snacker, and so
it makes it harder. I'm the same way. Yep. Yeah, right. Put it as far away as possible. Yep.
Yeah, so I go all the way to the house and come back all the way to the house. So yeah, it's a little bit much. I've locked myself out a few times.
Maybe we should edit that out.
Yeah, Tony,
can you edit that out?
Yeah. But yeah, so this is essentially where I do my best work, and the reason why I built it is because I used to work upstairs in a spare bedroom in my house, which is convenient in some ways, like to the bathroom and to the refrigerator, sure. But it also means that it's convenient to throwing in a load of laundry, sure. Or having people bother you when you're trying to work and they're knocking on the door. I mean, everybody who works out of their house, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's just full of distractions. And so I needed a distraction-free zone, and so decided to build this in my backyard. One day I was sitting on my patio in back of my house, and I was like, that shed out there, I wonder if I should go out there and check it out. And so I did, and it was like full of squirrels and full of just all kinds of nasty spiders and gross things. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to tear this down and build something new. And I'll tell you, it is the best thing I ever did. So this is my third season out here, I guess. It does have heat, but as you can tell during my 280 tour,
right.
It's not insulated. So, and that's by design. I sort of want it to have an unfinished feel.
Yeah.
My son is an artist, and he said to me that you have to be in a space and build it up around you, like let it tell you what it is, which is, sort of, it sounds really high-minded, but I understand what he means now, which is just that, it just has it has a certain quality to it. And what I like about it is, like, I know I have product placement here, but these are all my friends.
Right.
Like, these aren't like random, like marketing.
Right.
Publishers send me for free. There's people who have spoken at our event. There's like Dana Boyd, there's David Meerman Scott, there's Pat Stratton, there's Joe Felicki, there's Jay Bear. I mean, all of my friends are here. So it feels like it's a very supportive environment. I have like my little wall over here I'll show you, I don't know if you can see it, but like all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I recognize some of it. Yep. Yeah, I think that my flat Stanley had a date with your flat Ann there.
Oh, really? So it's just like notes people have sent me, and like things that are meaningful to me. And so as a result of that, the whole aura in here is one of like, it's very supportive,
Right.
Like,
yeah. You got all your friends there. And
yeah, I'm like surrounded by love is kind of how it is. And so, which sounds totally goofy, but I don't know, for me it works. And it makes me feel very like kind of centered and at peace when I'm here. And I get so much done here that I don't get done in the big house.
Yeah. You talked about like not having the distractions. Does it help with your writing and your focus?
It does. Yeah. I had this feeling when I first built it that, what I'm going to do? I'm not going to put an internet connection in there. It's going to be,
I was going to ask that. Right.
Completely pure. It won't be tainted by the interwebs.
Right.
My Facebook will never touch its lips. And then I realized how completely impractical that is. Because, the thing that really sealed the deal for me was when I came out here, when it was just still a platform. So I had, sort of nothing built really. And I was thinking, oh, look at that. I can pick up Wi-Fi from the neighbors. Yeah. I'm like, all right. The first step is just admitting that that's not possible. So I was like, okay, let's just make this. So it's fully wired. So as a result, it's got like actually the best internet connection. It's better than my house because it's a hard wire. It's not Wi-Fi. And so, so I do get more done out here, and I don't exactly know why that is. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with just having a dedicated space. I don't go to an office. Like I know some of our friends will actually rent office space, and maybe that functions the same for them. But I'm too lazy for that. It's like, I don't think that if I had to get in my car and go somewhere, it wouldn't happen, or even if I just had to walk downtown, it wouldn't happen.
Well, and you're on the road a lot. So it's not like you're not getting that social
Yeah,
that
exactly.
even us introverts need sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't even show you the best part of I can't even, I don't think I can show you this. But the best part of my tiny house is that little dog bed right here.
Right, yeah.
My little friend.
Is she there?
Oh yeah, she's
Yeah.
right here. Yep, she's snoozing.
My friend is right underneath my feet, which makes it very difficult to sit here since he's 106 pounds.
Yeah.
So the Wi-Fi actually brings up a good question, which is, that's a distraction. Can you be productive and do deep work and stay really focused with internet connection?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I totally can. It's just, and I realized what it is that it's not so much having access to it. It's just that having a space where, I don't know, like, you're here to
Work.
do your best work. And
Right.
so I think there's just something about the air in this place. It just feels different somehow. And so I don't know, I just do it. I haven't found, I mean, the internet is always a distraction, right? No matter what.
Right.
But, whether it's, on your phone or whether it's on the machine that you're working on right then, it's, I think it's always there. And so I don't manage it any differently than I do when I'm in the big house. But I just think because there isn't all the other extra distraction, it's even just lopping all that stuff off is huge.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have like 6 loads of laundry sitting right here that need to go downstairs.
Yeah. And it's a distraction, but it's also a tool, right? And
right.
So yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think like we all have to sort of manage that, but yeah, I mean, having a dedicated space has really been a life changer for me in a big way.
And it's so amazing. It's right there. I'm so jealous. I want one.
Yeah.
So I want to talk slow marketing manifesto. I saw you speak at Content Marketing World. They all run together. And it was where the first time I saw you speak on this. And what I loved about the way that you presented it, and I've seen you speak several times, you're getting better and better every time. But what I loved about it is you're talking about the manifesto, but the way you presented it, you were also acting it. Like you were slow walking and you walked slowly across the stage. And I love that. So talk to us about, for those who have not had the opportunity to see you speak, talk to us about the slow marketing manifesto.
Yeah, so I actually don't really call it a manifesto. So it's funny when you said
I call it that.
Before we started recording, I was like, oh God, I don't like what's a manifesto? So no, I mean, the concept of slow marketing is in a lot of ways, it's just it's sort of another word for strategy, really. I see a lot of marketers really rushing into doing as much, and I'm doing that, like, I don't know what it is now. I'm just sort of out everything. Yeah, a lot of marketers will just sort of rush into doing content. And I think we've seen that over the past 5 or 6 years, since the modern inception of content marketing. And so I really wanted to figure out a way to explain the need to sort of step back, Strategy is part of it, but also, getting a sense of who you're talking to, who are these people?
Right.
Really adopting this sort of pathological empathy, this sort of not just empathy, but like next level empathy. Like, how do we get to know these people? How do we not just, walk around in their shoes, but really like almost put on their skin, as gross as that sounds. But, really get inside them and figure out, like, how do we, like, what are their problems? What is our, how do we help them, And then also just the idea of telling a bigger story. So it's sort of an extenuation. It's an extension of all the things that I've been talking about for a long time.
Right.
But sort of wrapped in a different way to try to, first of all, to sort of deliver them in a more meaningful way, in a bigger context itself. But secondly, just to tell people, like, flat out, just slow down. Don't,
in every aspect.
Yeah, don't just rush right into anything. I was having a conversation last week. I was in Stockholm actually last week. And I was having a conversation with somebody at this conference that I was at, Super Content Marketing, which was super, actually, fantastic event in Stockholm. And somebody described me as an early adopter. And I was like, I'm actually not an early adopter. And I
think we've already clarified that you are. Tiny house.
Right. Well, so much for contradicting myself. Yeah, case in point.
Right.
Yeah, right. I don't I'm not the person who's going to rush out and get an Apple Watch. It's like I'm not all in on Facebook Live video.
Right.
I'm not actually in the front lines. I'm actually more like in the second or third line. And so I guess what I'm suggesting is that there is value in sort of waiting, adopting a wait and see attitude, and then figuring out what's actually going to work for you, for your business, for your audience. What do you have the sort of temperament to deal with, and then approaching your marketing sort of from a place of not panic, like we got to be all in on this,
right? Or we got to be first to this, or
right? You talk to CEOs and marketers all the time, and they're like, how come we're not there?
We have to get on Snapchat. Why?
Yeah. Right.
It's right. It's interesting because right now we're in the by the time this airs, it'll be a couple of weeks, but right now we're in the throes of the United Airlines crisis.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps asking for my opinion. And I have the same approach that you do, which is we haven't heard the whole story yet. So until we get it all, let's put our social media pitchforks away.
Yeah.
Slow down and listen and actually see what all sides of the story are first.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. I mean, I think that it applies in a lot of scenarios, in a lot of situations. PR is, I think, a great one too. It's if there's a PR crisis at your company, I'm not saying you should be extremely slow. I'm not necessarily saying United Airlines should be slow, but I do think that we need to really weigh all of our options before we figure out, what the right approach is. And maybe the approach that we ultimately decide on is not going to be necessarily the fastest thing, but it could be potentially the most meaningful thing. Yes. So I guess that's how I'm approaching, when I think about slow marketing. I think it has implications for PR. I think it has implications for pretty much any aspect of business out there, from marketing to hiring to just operations, the way that we run places. I feel like there is such a focus on speed, and social media exasperates that. It sort of fuels it. It makes us feel like, we have to do what everybody else is doing. We're always behind. But I think that's a skewed look at the world, really.
So for communicators specifically, what are some 2 or 3 tips that you can provide that, because I think we face the executives or clients, and marketers do too, but people that don't understand PR, and so they think that if they get on the front page of the New York Times, all their troubles are going to be solved, and suddenly the cash register dropping my microphone register is going to sing, and all those kinds of things. And I'm with you. I think we have to take a really strategic approach to these kinds of things, but that's not overnight success. So what are some tips you can provide that people can go back to and be able to say to their bosses or their clients, we have to take a slow approach, and this is why?
Well, the first thing is just to say, Ginny and Ann agree on this.
Really, that should be all you have to do. That's it. Done.
Check. I think the best thing that a marketer can do, I think the role that marketing can play and communications can play more broadly, is just to ask that question of will this sustain us? So I talked about this in the content marketing world presentation as well, but if you approach everything you do with an eye towards sustainability. So for example, just to make it a little bit more real, say that you do have that CEO or that client or that CMO or that boss who wants to affect a certain change, whether that's something, maybe that's a direction that they want to go in. Maybe it's a requirement that everybody now has to be on Snapchat or,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I think looking at a sustainability, looking at will this sustain us from through that lens, I think can be enormously useful. And it's up to marketers a lot of times, I think, to point that out. It's like, well, this isn't good or this is good, potentially on either end of the spectrum. But and here's why. So sort of I think it's the only way that marketing can get out of being an order taker too, which is another problem.
Right.
A lot of marketers and PR companies have, or people have. And so really just being that person who asks that question, this is not a good idea because it's not going to sustain us long term, and sort of helping the executive or client or boss see that. I mean, I think just asking some of those tough questions is a great first step, really. At Content Marketing World, I shared a story of a company called Gusto, which is
I was going to ask, because my very favorite thing about the way you present content is you have these sort of great case studies that are off the radar. So yes, please.
Yeah. As an aside, somebody once said to me that they would consider their marketing career a success and their goal is just to become a case study in one of my talks.
One of your words.
I was like,
you know what? I like that too.
I liked that a lot.
I like that a lot.
So I was like, okay, because I always pick these like weird.
You do, and they're amazing. Yeah.
Because they're doing some great stuff. And so I spent a lot of time finding companies that are doing some interesting things. But anyway, so this Gusto one sort of fell into my lap. So what the story is that I was researching outsourced HR benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for a company who could handle all that stuff for us for marketing profs. And so it was 9:00 on a Thursday night. And so I somehow found myself on this company's website called Gusto. So I'm like looking at the site and I was like, first of all, I was totally attracted to the tone of voice on the website, which is like one of my things, right? Yep. I love the way that it communicated just in general, the way that they told their story was really appealing to me because they had lines on there like, we believe that humans aren't resources. And I was like, I love that. Like it really spoke to me. So I was like, I think I kind of like this company. So, then I saw that little chat box open up on the bottom and it was like, hi, what was his name? I forget what his name was. I can't
remember his name either, but yeah.
At my head, it was like, hi, I'm Glenn, how are you today? Or anything I can help you with today? And I was like, okay, Glenn, let's do this,
I don't think you know what you just asked, but let's
do this. I know.
So
let's chat. So he's like, starts asking me about, how can I help you with your HR benefits consulting? I was like, hold up, Glenn, are you human or are you a bot? And he's like, no, I'm a human. And so I challenged him on it a little bit. And I was like, are you really? And he misspelled something. And he said, no, I actually am human. See, look, I just misspelled something. And so this went on, and poor Glenn he tries to keep turning the conversation back to the reason why, what his business does. And I kept hijacking it by asking questions about, now hold on a second. Why are you? It turns out that this guy was the VP of growth for this company. And I was like, why is the VP of growth monitoring the chat?
At 9:00 on a Thursday night.
Yeah. And I was like, that is so weird to me. So it turns out that they were in San Francisco. So it wasn't 9, it was 6,
but still.
Right, still. And he said, because that first interaction, ultimately through this long chat, finally got to the point where he was like, all right, fine, I'll just have to tell you. So finally we get to the point where he says, that first interaction that a company has with us is critical, right? It's going to form your impression. It's that whole first impression thing. You can't, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And so he was like, we want to make sure that that is the best possible experience for you. The best landing page that he could possibly think of is to just be a person on the other end actually chatting with you. And what I loved about that is, just from a marketing point of view, is like, think about that for a second. The VP of growth is monitoring this chat box because he saw it as a moment that it was important to slow down. Like they could have just had a chatbot there who did a reasonably good job of simulating being a human. And then at the point where things got weird with me, it could have just like kicked it over to an actual human in a call center.
Okay, I need a real human now.
Yeah, it could have been any of those things, but it wasn't. And I thought, that is brilliant. That's such a great example, I think, of figuring out those moments when it pays to slow down by having somebody like Glenn monitoring that chat box. And then also, there are other things that you don't have to slow down. Like not everything is a slow marketing moment, but I think what I'm talking about in the construct of slow marketing is that find those moments when it matters most to your business, to your company, and I mean to your culture really, and to your customers. Find those moments and slow down at those moments.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do the speed round. Your goal is to just give the answer.
Ooh.
Which is very difficult.
Plug nut. Oh, sorry. You asked a question.
Now I have to think of a question that I will. All right.
What's your roller derby name?
I will. Totally adding that. I will start with an easy one. What did you major in?
English and communications.
Yes. Twitter or Facebook?
Twitter.
What book changed your life?
Ooh, this is a good one. I have 2.
Oh, okay.
First is The Elements of Style by E.B. White.
Yep.
I read it in college, and it was the first time that I read a grammar book that felt like it had a tone of voice to me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even describe it in those terms back then. All I knew was that I really enjoyed reading this grammar book. And when I thought about writing Everybody Writes decades and decades later, I thought about that book. I've reread it a couple of times since college. And I thought about that book and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to write a grammar book, sort of, a writing book.
Right. Yeah.
A writing book that has a tone of voice and that actually is fun to read. Now, Elements of Style is not actually all that fun to read, unless you're sort of a geek like you or me, and we're like, oh, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
Yeah, but it was just the idea that that is written by an actual person as opposed to like a grammar manual or a writing manual.
Right. Yep.
And it was accessible, and I love that about it. The second book that changed my life is kind of overblown. I should say, all right, well, a book that influenced me. How about that?
Okay, that works.
Just try to be truthful, Ginny,
Well, if it's better than me, I won't answer it because there's too many.
I'm trying to keep it real. David Sedaris, Me Talk Pretty One Day.
Oh, my word.
First David Sedaris book I ever read. It ignited an obsession with the guy.
Oh, my word.
That if I ever met him in person, I would be completely just like speechless. Yeah, he's just like and the reason why I love that book is because everybody thinks about David Sedaris as like a funny writer. Oh, he's so funny. He's a humorist, but actually he's incredibly soulful too. And
right.
He just has such a mastery of the human condition, and he expresses in a way that's very accessible. I think about that book a lot. And I've since read all of his stuff, but that was the one that for me really changed my point of view.
One of my favorite things that he's written recently is, I think it was in the New Yorker, about the Fitbit and how he walked until his sandals fell apart because he wanted to get the steps.
He was up to like 100K a day or something.
I was like, that's totally me. You are speaking to me.
Yes, I know, because you compete with yourself, right? Did I tell you about this Fitbit? Did we have this conversation?
No.
Oh yeah, I've only had this. I actually got this for around my birthday in November, and I knew I was going to be that kind of person. That it's because I know me, and I get obsessed. So I'm going to start competing with myself, and it's going to be awful.
Yep.
So like I put it on in like January timeframe. I'd say it's just ridiculous. I'm just like, I'm over the top with it. I'm the person just like, walking the extra lap, when it's like 30 below Boston.
Yes. I know exactly what you speak of. Yep. I just have 30 more steps until yep.
I know. So, yeah.
What is your professional pet peeve?
Oh, let's see. My social media pet peeve is robo DMs. This has been a pet peeve of mine since about 2007. I can't figure it out. Like, why?
I don't know. And they still do it. Everybody knows you're not supposed to do it, and people still do it.
Yes. I feel like I've been talking about this since like 2008. And it's like it happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
So that's number one. Number two is it's definitely wasting my time with, and I know that makes me sound like I'm scary. I'm not, but at the same time, it's like,
you're kind of scary.
Am I? Oh my gosh, softy. You're scarier.
Oh. Wasting your time.
Wasting my time with especially with email. Get right to the point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I guess more broadly than that, like if I were to tease a bigger lesson out of that, it's not really having true empathy for your audience. Like figure out like, what am I trying to say? Get to the point immediately. Don't take a running start and tell me all these other things. Like niceties are fine. I'm not saying don't do that. That's perfectly acceptable. But there's a lot of wasted words, I think. And
I totally agree.
We live in a time where you can't do that anymore. And I think especially in our world, you can't do that anymore. It's like, you've got to hone your message. And I think the biggest way to do that is just to swap places with your reader. Just make sure you read it once from your reader's point of view before you send something. I do that with
great advice. Great advice.
I do that all the time. And it's like, it's so simple, but I don't think people do it. I mean, I've been editing marketers for like 25 years and things haven't moved that much aside from the people who've read my book.
Oxford comma, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you. Yes.
This is why we're friends.
Yes. That is like one
Yeah.
for me that this is why we're friends.
Yeah, if you mentioned Eat, Shoots, and Leaves, that's like a perfect one.
Right.
Exactly. Do you know Mary Norris? Have you read her
Don't.
book?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, do I have it here? Confessions of a Comma Queen.
Oh, I will love that.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
It's the best. She is she just retired in January, former copy editor for like 35 years of The New Yorker, speaking of The New Yorker.
Wow.
Fantastic. It's part memoir, part, sort of riff on grammar and writing and all kinds of things. She's fantastic.
All right, I definitely would read that.
Yeah, really, really good. And she has a whole chapter on the Oxford comma. After that, I was like, all right, you know what? There's no more debate because it's Mary Norris.
Right.
Mary Norris.
Mary Norris said.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh. So I think my guilty pleasure is probably, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I'm kind of obsessed with Scandal, which is like,
I don't know what you're talking about, Anne.
I don't know. Actually, it's not that embarrassing. That's not even that guilty of a pleasure. It's just pure pleasure. It's just
pure pleasure. Yeah, I agree. The clothes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, her outfits are insane.
They're insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just read her. I'm totally blanking on her name. Oh, Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes.
I just read. Have you read her book too?
The Year of Not Saying No or something like that.
Year of Yes.
Oh, Year of Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Other way around.
Talk about too many words.
Right.
Year of preferably.
Preferably.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Year of Yes. That's a much better title.
The annual celebration of a comical idea to not say no.
And on that note.
Yeah. So anyway, I read her book and I loved her book. I thought it was great. I mean, parts of it were a little annoying, if I'm being honest, but in general, I really, really liked it. And so then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm shameless now. I'm just gonna watch. I'm gonna watch Scandal, and that's just gonna be how it is.
Right. I see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, that's like the one thing that, like, when I get home from travel, like if I'm gone, like I was gone for 6 days this last week. I got home Saturday, and it was like Saturday night. I was like on my couch in my little couch cocoon, just like, let's do this, Chandra. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us what's next for you.
Oh boy. Let me see. So in terms of like right now,
what are you doing this year? What fun stuff's coming up?
I was like,
or in the next 5 minutes.
In about an hour, I'm going to Boston to hang out with our friend Andy Christina. Lee Auden and a bunch of people at the Content Marketing Conference. So that's immediate. Let me see. So I have a ton of travel this spring, and I'm thinking about working on a new book of kind of turning the slow marketing thing into something more substantive. But you know how I feel about writing a book. It's really painful.
Yeah, that's not true. Writing the book is not painful. It's marketing the book that's painful.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole thing is painful, and so it's like I'm trying to shore myself up for it.
Yeah, you do have to shore yourself up for sure.
Yeah, and it's just it's really, I'm just busy right now. We're in the throes of already, even though this is only April, planning for the B2B Forum, which is in October in Boston. So that's what's going on. Mm-hmm. So tons of stuff going on the marketing prof side in terms of our training and education program. So that's always a constant. So it's between the speaking and the travel and the marketing prof end of things, it's like the idea of a book is like
I get it.
It's like having another baby, really, and
yes,
that's absolutely not happening. So.
All right. Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to talk to you too.
I really appreciate you doing this, and everyone will love seeing you on April 28th. And everyone else, stay tuned for next month, May 26th. I think we'll have Kathy Phillips from the Content Marketing Institute.
Ooh, hi, Kathy.
Yay! So, thank you, Anne.
All right. Thanks, Jenny.